ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So this verse describes the transcendental effect of the presence of the Lord. How, just like if there is a current passing through one wire and anybody who touches that gets electrified, so similarly the transcendental presence of the Lord had effect on all and one. So this is being described here. So we saw from the previous verses the Lord arrived at that seventh gate. So 6 gates they had already crossed, the great sages had crossed, and now they were just about to enter the Vaikuntha Loka when they were stopped by the 2 doormen, and they felt very offended that they were stopped because their only desire was to have darshan of the Lord. They were not coming with some ulterior motive to disturb the Lord or anything like that. Not knowing this, the 2 doormen, being ignorant of this, they stopped them at the gate and offended. So the great sages, they felt offended and they cursed these 2 doormen that better they should go to the material world, they should reside there. This place is not fit for them. The spiritual world is not fit for them. So the Lord, knowing that this is deteriorating, the situation is aggravating more and more, the Lord personally with Mother Lakshmi arrived at the gate, and this is the description, the Lord's presence. In the last verse we saw the Lord arrived not only with Mother Lakshmi but with all his different personal associates of the Lord. They were also there. Some of the associates were doing chamara seva and some were holding umbrella on the head of the Lord. That was described here. And in today's verse, it's very beautifully described the electrifying presence of the Lord which created transcendental atmosphere. Of course the Vaikuntha Loka is transcendental, but the personal presence of the Lord electrified everything. So the translation says, the Lord is the reservoir of all pleasure. In Shloka it says, Spraniya Dhama Sumukham Spraniya Dhama. The very face of the Lord, the very smiling of the Lord, the very presence of the Lord is filled with transcendental qualities. All good qualities, all transcendental, unlimited transcendental qualities. Spraniya means desirable, all kinds of desirable qualities. Dhama means shelter. So the Supreme Lord, his very presence, the Supreme Lord is the abode of all transcendental desirable qualities. So what it has to do with the reservoir of all pleasure? Because actually pleasure comes from these transcendental qualities. Because the Lord is abode of unlimited desirable transcendental qualities, he is the reservoir of all pleasure. So we can see this in the material world also. When somebody has some good qualities, that gives pleasure. when we interact with that person who is having those transcendental or good qualities, then we derive pleasure in those dealings. So the Supreme Lord is the reservoir of all pleasure. Sumukham spraniya dhama. His auspicious presence is meant for everyone's benediction. Krishna prasada, blessing everyone. So this is also very interesting. When the Lord arrived there, His presence was as auspicious not only to these four great sages who were very desirous to see the Lord and who felt that they have been offended and thus they were very angry. At that time they were very aggravated. His presence was very calming, very soothing to them. And at the same time, the presence of the Lord was equally soothing to the two doormen who were feeling that they have done a great offense. And they were ashamed and they were terrible that now they will be going to the material world. The presence of the Lord was very benedicting even for them. You see? So at one side is these sages who are very angry, very aggravated, and at another side is two doormen, the devotees of the Lord. They are also the pure devotees of the Lord. And they are very ashamed and they are also, in anxiety because now they will be going to this material world. They have been cursed like that. So the presence of the Lord was benediction to both of them. We will see in the future how it was benediction to both of them. How the very presence of the Lord was benediction to both of them. So, His auspicious presence is meant for everyone's benediction. And then, His affectionate smiling and glancing touch the core of the heart. You see? In the material world, sometimes we smile, but our smile does not reach the heart. It is artificial smile. Externally we may smile. Internally we have something else, isn't it? And then it is never able to reach the heart of another person. So sometimes I had taken a class, smiling faces, crying hearts. Actually our hearts are crying, only faces are smiling. Externally we are trying to keep the faces smiling. But the Lord's smiling is not like that. You can just imagine. The very glance of the Lord, the very smiling of the Lord, it penetrates inside the heart, in the core of the heart it goes. That's why it is so soothing. Just to see the Lord is so soothing. It is blessing. So, His affectionate smiling and glancing touch the core of the heart. Sneha avaloka. Sneha means with affection, when the Lord avaloka, when He glanced. Kalaya hridi samsparshantam. It expanded, that smiling, the glance of the Lord expanded. Kalaya means expansion, just like we say kala. Kala means expanded. So it expanded. Where did it expand? Hridi samsparshantam. It expanded and penetrated the hearts of everyone and touched the core of their hearts. Then, Shame Prathau, then it is explained about the beauty of the Lord, that even though He is Shama, Shame Prathau Urasi, Urasi is the chest. The Lord had broad chest, Shame Prathau Urasi, and that chest was glorified by Shobhitaya Shriya. The Lord, His chest is the abode of Mother Lakshmi. So, the Lord's beautiful bodily color is blackish, Shama, and His broad chest is the resting place of Goddess of Fortune. Then, Swaha means the heavenly planet. Just like we say Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. So Swaha means the heavenly planets. Swaha Chudamanim Shubhagayantam Ivatmadhishnayam. Even though the heavenly planets are considered to be the topmost in the material world, but the spiritual world is considered to be the crest jewel of even the heavenly planets. That is, it is the summit. Chudamani means, it's like Prabhupada explains, it is called as summit. Just like in the hairs, if there is a crest jewel placed, so that is called as Chudamani. Chuda is hairs and Mani means it's a crest jewel. So like that, in the heavenly planets, this Vaikuntha Loka of the Lord, because of the presence of the Lord, it is called as crest jewel. Chudamanim, Shwaha Chudamanim, Shubhagayantam Ivatmadhishnam. And it looked like that the presence of the Lord, Ivatma, the presence of the Lord, it is spreading that auspiciousness everywhere, even in the spiritual world. So Prabhupada translates that as, the Lord's beautiful bodily color is blackish, His broad chest is the resting place of the goddess of fortune, who glorifies the entire spiritual world, the summit of all heavenly planets. Chudamani, Swaha Chudamani. The spiritual world is the summit of all heavenly planets, and the Lord's presence, what does it do? Glorifies the entire spiritual world. Thus it appeared that the Lord was personally spreading the beauty and good fortune of the spiritual world. Shubhagayantam Ivatma Dishnyam. The Lord is personally spreading the glories and good fortune of the spiritual world. So this is what is being described here. So many very interesting points Prabhupada is pointing out in this purport. So first very important point Prabhupada points out is this word which is used here, Krishna Prasada Sumukham. When the Lord came, He was pleased with everyone. Therefore it is stated here, Krishna Prasada Sumukham. So the Lord was pleased with everyone. So now who are the people who were present there? Now there were present His personal associates. The Lord had arrived there with His personal associates, and they were serving the Lord in varieties of ways. And then these great sages, 4 great sages were there, and the 2 doormen were there. Now what was the situation of the 2 doormen and the great sages? The great sages felt offended by the 2 doormen of the Lord. Right? So this was the situation, and they were very aggravated, they were in angry mood, and they were repenting. The 2 doormen were repenting that yes, they should not have done this, in ignorance they have done, and they fell at the feet of these great sages, that actually yes, they have done a great offense. Whatever curse was given to them, it is definitely very, very appropriate. They are accepting, graciously they accepted that curse, but they are only worried about that they should not be lost in the material world, because now they are in the spiritual world in the presence of the Lord. They don't want to lose the service of the Lord. That was their humble request. And at that very same time the Lord arrived. So this is the situation which is going on at that gate of the Vaikuntha, the 7th gate of Vaikuntha Loka. So the Lord's presence was very gracious, it was pleasing, it was a blessing to all the people concerned. So Prabhupada explains this, how it is. Now, question may be asked, now how did the Lord react to this situation? We are seeing The sages became aggravated. They took the offense that yes, we are offended. And at the same time, the two doormen, they were also repentant of their mistake, whatever they had done. They did by chance, Prabhupada explained in the previous verses, by chance they committed a mistake. Actually, they are also pure devotees of the Lord, but by chance they committed a mistake. So did the Lord become angry at his doormen? Yes, you have committed mistakes. Better you should glide down to the material world. Because the Lord took this cognizance that actually they are my pure devotees, they are my pure servant. By mistake they have committed an offense. The Lord knew this. It is by mistake, by chance. So the Lord did not become angry at them. Or did the Lord become angry at the great sages? What are you doing? You are cursing my servants. You are telling them to go down to the material world. Did the Lord become angry at great sages? What was the Lord's reaction? So we are seeing here actually the Lord did not react in those ways. Rather, just by his peaceful smiling presence, just by his glance, everyone became attracted and everything cooled down. Actually, you will see, just by the glance of the Lord, the great sages, even they melted and they said actually we should not have cursed. Even they realized that it was a small mistake, just for that we did this. And the Lord, we will see how much he is caring for his own servant, own devotees. The Lord will say, yes, I agree. My doormen, they were my attendants. They have committed a mistake. In that sense, you can take it, I have committed a mistake. The Lord is taking the offense on himself. I have committed an offense. Because they were my servant. So it is the master of the duty, the master has to suffer. Right? So he said, yes. In that sense, I am ready, if required, to cut off my arms and give it away. You see? In lieu of the offense created by my servant, I am ready to lop off my arm and give it away. You see? So in that sense, and then the Lord requested them. Yes, they have committed a mistake and you have already cursed them. So your curse will not go in vain. But my only request is to see to it that they return back very soon. You see? So this is the affection of the Lord. So that's why it is said here, Krishna Prasada Sumukham. His just very presence was a blessing to all of them. So Prabhupada is very beautifully explaining the whole scenario. The Lord knew that even the offensive doormen were his pure devotees. He was very much aware. They have committed an offense, but actually they are my pure devotees. Although by chance they committed an offense at the feet of other devotees. By chance they have committed an offense at the feet of other devotees. So, the Lord also understands to commit an offense at the feet of another devotee in principle is a great offense. Even if somebody commits an offense to the Lord does not take it so much. Just like we see Shishupal 100, so many times he was rebuking the Lord did not take that offense. But if something happens to his pure devotees, he cannot forgive. But at the same time, this is different here. It is not some atheist creating an offense. It is not some demon creating an offense. It is another devotee, by chance he has created an offense. So the Lord did not take in that sense as an offense. So for the Lord, on the Lord's part, he has not taken it as an offense. But Prabhupada is explaining the principle that to create an offense at another devotee's feet is a mad elephant offense. Prabhupada is even using the word, it will murder your spiritual progress. Finish off. Practically it will be finished. Your spiritual progress is gone. So Prabhupada is saying, to commit an offense against a devotee is very dangerous. Lord Chaitanya therefore said, this offense is like mad elephant, run loose. When a mad elephant enters a garden, it tramples all the plants. Similarly, an offense unto the feet of a pure devotee murders one's position in devotional service. Correct? But did the Lord take this offense? Because it was committed by chance by his pure devotee, he did not take that offense. On the part of the Lord, there was no offended mood. Because, why? He does not accept any offense created by his sincere devotee. By chance, he had created some offense. Actually, they are very sincere devotees of the Lord. He did not take that as an offense. So therefore, the Lord was equal to both offenders and to the offended. Because both were his pure devotees. One pure devotee created an offense at another by mistake, by chance. So the Lord did not take that as an offense on his part. The Lord, being equal to all and specially inclined to his devotees, looked as mercifully at the offender as the offended. So he was equally merciful to both of them. And this is what is explained here beautifully, that how Sneha avaloka kalaya hradi samsparshantam. The very glance of the Lord, the very smiling of the Lord penetrates into the heart of a devotee. So that also very nicely Prabhupada is explaining. His cheerful attitude towards the devotee was so pleasing and heart-touching that his very smile was attractive for them. Why this is so? So Prabhupada says this is because the Supreme Lord is a reservoir of unlimited desirable qualities. What is that word which is used here? Spraniya Dhama. The Lord is a reservoir of all wonderful, desirable spiritual qualities. Now, we are also, to a certain extent, we also have some good, desirable qualities. Right? But we do not have them in unlimited quantity. We also have compassion. We are also kind-hearted. Right? We are also affectionate. We are also loving. We also smile. But none of them are up to unlimited extent. The Lord's compassion is unlimited. The Lord's affection is unlimited. All his qualities are unlimited. Not only he is a reservoir of all transcendental varieties of transcendental qualities, all qualities are unlimited. That is what we should understand. So, that's how Prabhupada is saying here, this attitude of the Lord, how the Lord was able to be pleasing to everyone, this attitude of the Lord was due to his unlimited quantity of transcendental qualities. Unlimited quantity of his transcendental qualities. Because of that, this attitude of the Lord was pleasing to everyone. His cheerful attitude towards the devotee was so pleasing and heart-touching that his very smile was attractive for them. And this attraction, Prabhupada is explaining, this attraction of the Lord, which he is spreading, it is not only glorious in the heavenly planet, it is also glorious in the spiritual world. Even in the spiritual world it is glorious. So that is why it is said here, it looked like the presence of the Lord is spreading these transcendental qualities not only in the heavenly planets but also in the spiritual world. Shwaha chudamanin shobhitaya shubhagayantam ivatma dhishnam. So the presence of the Lord was spreading these qualities not only in the heavenly planets but also in the spiritual world. His cheerful attitudes, that attraction was glorious not only for all the higher planets of the material world but beyond for the spiritual world also. And then Prabhupada explains what is the spiritual world? What is the position of the spiritual world? What is the position of the heavenly planet? So heavenly planet is situated at the topmost portion of material world, right? That's why when we say Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha, so we are gradually going from lower planets to the higher planets, right? So Swaha is these heavenly planets like Satyaloka, Brahmaloka. They are the topmost of the heavenly planets. So generally a human being has no idea of what the constitutional position is in the higher material planets, which are far better constituted in regards to all paraphernalia. So with regard to everything in the material world, heavenly planets are topmost. Yet Vaikuntha planet is so pleasing and so celestial that it is compared to the middle jewel or locket in the necklace of jewels. Suppose you wear a necklace, and in that necklace, if there is no locket, or that middle jewel is not there, it does not look very good. So even the heavenly planets will not look good if that spiritual Vaikuntha Loka, Vaikuntha planet is not present as a middle jewel. So that is what Prabhupada is saying. And then Prabhupada is also explaining about this Praniya Dhama. I'll just take another 5 minutes and finish. In this verse, the words Praniya Dhama indicates that the Lord is the reservoir of all pleasure because He has all transcendental qualities. Although only some of these are aspired for by persons who anchor after the pleasure of merging in the impersonal Brahman, there are other aspirants who want to associate with the Lord personally as His servant. Now, the Lord is actually the reservoir of all transcendental qualities, Praniya Dhama, and because of which He is the reservoir of all transcendental pleasures. Unfortunately, the people who are desiring Brahman, merging in the Brahman, Brahma Sakhyam, these people are not aware of this transcendental wealth, this transcendental abode, that the Lord is transcendental abode of all kinds of pleasures. He is the reservoir of all pleasure. They are just touching on one part, small part of Brahma Sakhyam. Whereas the devotees of the Lord, they want to interact with the Lord in this loving pleasure. Just like here it is explained. The Lord came there and just imagine, He has not even interacted much with them. Just His smiling, just His transcendental glance is so benedicting that everyone became completely filled with transcendental pleasure. Just by His presence. How it was possible? Because the Lord is filled with transcendental pleasure. So how unfortunate are these Brahmavadis? They are just one small portion of the Lord, that Brahma Sukha. They are not aware about the transcendental pleasure obtained in serving the Lord. That they are not aware about. So Prabhupada is explaining that fact. That they are just, very slight, some ananda in Brahma Sakhyam they are able to get. There are other aspirants who want to associate with the Lord personally as His servants. The Lord is so kind, but the Lord is kind. He gives shelter to everyone. He is the shelter of even the material world. He has given shelter even to the criminals. We are all practically in that sense offenders at the feet of the Lord. We have derided Him, come to the material world. But even this material world is situated at His lotus feet. Right? Even that is situated under Him. So He has given shelter even to us. He gives shelter to everyone, both impersonalists and devotees. He gives shelter to impersonalists in His Brahman effulgence, whereas devotees are given shelter in His personal abodes, known as Vaikuntha Loka. And He is specially inclined to His devotees. He touches the core of the heart of the devotee simply by smiling and glancing over him. See? He is able to touch the core of the heart just by glancing, just by smiling. The Lord, another feature Prabhupada explains, is the presence of Lakshmi Devi on the chest of the Lord. This is another feature Prabhupada is explaining. In the material world, just imagine the situation, difference between the spiritual world and the material world. In the material world, even one Lakshmi, even just little favor of the Lakshmi, if a person gets, he becomes so glorified. Isn't it? Somebody is very wealthy, somebody is very rich. He becomes so much glorified. People go after him. And just imagine what is the situation of the spiritual world. Sahasra Lakshmim. Thousands and thousands of Lakshmis are engaged in the service of the Lord. So this is another very important point Prabhupada is saying. The Lord is served in the Vaikuntha Lokas by many hundreds and thousands of Lakshmis or goddess of fortune. In the material world, one is glorified if he is favored even by a pinch by the goddess of fortune. We can simply imagine how glorified is the kingdom of God in the spiritual world, where hundreds and thousands of goddess of fortune engage in the direct service of the Lord. So this is another important point Prabhupada makes out. And yet another important point Prabhupada talks from this verse is, here the Lord is openly declaring where the Vaikuntha Lokas are situated. It's a clear indication. Sometimes people ask, where are Vaikuntha Lokas? Right? Sometimes people ask, where are Vaikuntha Loka? Where it is situated? So materialistic scientists, they are not even able to find out heavenly planets. First they have to find out heavenly planets. They are not able to even reach sun planet or moon planet or heavenly planet. Isn't it? Where is the question of reaching even topmost of the heavenly planet like Brahma Loka or Satya Loka? They cannot reach. So they have no idea where the Vaikuntha Lokas are situated. Here the hint is given, Vaikuntha Lokas are situated at the summit of heavenly planets. So that is what it is said here. Swaha Chudamanin. Swaha means heavenly planets, Chudamani means crest jewel or summit. Both it means. So heavenly planets are crest jewel also, and it is situated at the summit of, at the topmost of the heavenly planets. So another feature of this verse is the Lord openly declares where the Vaikuntha Lokas are situated. They are situated as the summit of all heavenly planets which are above the sun globe at the upper limit of the universe and are known as Satya Loka or Brahma Loka. The spiritual world is situated beyond the universe. Therefore it is stated here, spiritual world, Vaikuntha Loka is the summit of all planetary system. So, lot of interesting things are there in this verse which are described. Stop with this. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada.